Assalamualaikum. Today we are going to start with the last chapter, that is chapter 8, and it's a very short chapter. So this chapter is about intersection control. So in the last chapter we discussed about intersection design, the design of the intersection itself. In this chapter we will discuss about intersection control. How do you control the traffic flow on intersection? So we do it using traffic control devices. What are traffic control devices? These are anything which you put on the intersection or on the road to assign the right of way to the drivers. Right of way meaning assigning their own space. Who should be in a particular space, like which driver should be in which lane, what speed he should be going at, who should go first, who will go after that, and so on. Okay, so this is what we call as the right of way. Right of way meaning the right to the space of the road. Okay, who has a higher right to the space of the road. And we want to ensure orderly and predictable movement. Okay, orderly means everybody is going along a particular path. Okay, and the movement should be predictable so that everybody knows what the other driver will do. This is what we mean basically. Okay, so for example, on the roundabout, the drivers are predicting, or they know nobody will enter in front of them while they are going around. Okay, so this is predictable because this is his right of way, right? His right of way is the right of way belongs to the driver who is in the roundabout. Okay, same as with the signal as well, right? Same as with the signal. Signal is green for you, you have the right of way. The other drivers will block for you. Okay, will wait for you. And obviously the movement will be orderly. Okay, so it will be in a specific path at a specific time. Okay, and so orderly means, you know, according to a specific order. Okay, so you are going the order is this driver will go first, then this one, and so on. Okay, and everybody knows about that because of a traffic control device. Everybody knows that this is our order. Okay, the control devices can be in the form of traffic signals, signs, or markings. Okay, and these signal, signs, and markings, sometimes they provide regulations. Okay, so they tell you this lane is for you, speed limit, traffic signal. Okay, the traffic signal is a regulatory control device, right? You have to follow it. So regulatory means something you have to follow. It is mandatory by the law to follow it. Okay, some of them are for guidance. Okay, like you see the signs for areas, different areas and different highways. Take this direction for this highway, take this direction for this area, and so on. Some of them are for warning. Okay, warning the drivers about any hazard, sharp curves, reduced speed, construction work, and so on. Bad weather, fog. Okay, and then them are for channelizing traffic. Channelizing means, we have discussed about it in the last chapter. Channelizing means the path of the, indicating the path of the driver. Okay, and we have discussed different forms of channelization, right? So if you go around on different intersections in Bahrain or in any other country, you will find that on some intersections you will find all sorts of traffic control devices, and some of the intersections are totally barren. Okay, some of the intersections do not have anything. Okay, I will show you in the coming slide as well. So the number of devices to be put. Okay, so you will find an intersection where there will be a signal and all the markings are there and some traffic signs are there, and everything which you feel there should be there, or everything which you can think of at that location is there. So this depends upon the complexity of the maneuvering area. If the intersection, maneuvering on the intersection is complicated, then you give more devices. If it is simple, then you give less devices or no devices at all. So complexity of the intersection, we have talked in the last chapter, depends upon two things. First one is the angle of intersection of the road, and the second one is the number of roads which are intersecting. Okay, so when these things change, then you need to incorporate more traffic control devices. The standards for designing traffic control devices are given in Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. This is a manual which is exclusive for the design and placement and operation of traffic control devices, and it is followed all around the world because it's the only manual which is dealing with exclusively with the design of traffic control devices. Now, traffic control devices are considered effective if they are following these criteria, these requirements. Okay, effective traffic control devices follow these requirements or these criteria. First one is fulfill a need. Put a traffic control device if and only if it is required. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, if the maneuvering area is very simple, the angle of intersection is 90, only let's say 3 sides are intersecting, it's a T-leg and it's a T intersection, then you don't need many traffic control devices there. Okay. For example, if you want other examples, then you can take the example of a speed limit sign. Okay, you will find specific points at which speed limit signs are placed, and mainly these signs are placed where there's a chance that driver may overspeed. The road is clear, there's no curve, there's no danger, so the drivers are the drivers tend to overspeed. So at that location we put a sign because it's needed there, so that a driver can understand he shouldn't go above this speed. Okay, so you don't need a speed limit sign just beside a signal, because the signal is supposed to stop. Okay, so it's not required there. Similarly, a stop line. A stop line is not required in the middle of the road. Okay, it's only required at the intersection. A crosswalk. A crosswalk is only required if the pedestrians are expected to cross from a location. Okay, otherwise you don't need a crosswalk. Okay, the road is blocked with medians from both the sides, then no pedestrian can come. So no, you will not see a crosswalk. Okay, then that a control device must command attention of the road user, attention of the driver. Okay, how do you command attention? You command attention when something is prominent. You command attention when something is prominent and it's in front of you. Something is prominent, is in front of you. Okay, so for example, there's a stop sign, but there's a tree in front of the stop sign. So the stop sign is hidden. You cannot expect the driver to follow the stop sign because he cannot see it. Okay, so you must ensure that the sign is in front of the driver. Okay, now in front we have discussed about different fields of vision in chapter 3. Okay, so the we said that the traffic signs or traffic control devices must come within his fairly clear field of vision. Fairly clear field of vision. Okay, so this is where we want the sign to be. Okay, and then it should be prominent in terms of color. So like red colors and yellow and white, they are prominent colors. Okay, they attract attention. Size, they should be bigger. Okay, so big so that you do not miss them with a light pole, right? The light poles which are very thin, and then there are traffic signs which are wider and so on. Then it should convey a clear and simple meaning. It should convey a clear and simple meaning. So the meaning conveyed by the sign should be clear and simple, meaning what? For example, you see a speed limit sign. Okay, it just has a number, and you know from the standards the number is the speed. I need to follow the speed. That's it. You don't see, okay, speed on this road is 60 kilometers per hour because the design of this road is with this much lane width and so on. There is no justification. There is no explanation there. Okay. Similarly, nowadays you can see with the construction they are. And the warning sign says what? Work ahead or reduce speed. That's it. You don't mention the details, but this is not for the driver. You tell the driver what he has to do, and that's it. Okay. You see arrow markings on the pavement. The arrow markings are very simple. Okay, right, left, straight, U-turn. That's it. Okay, so the message is clear and simple. This lane for straight, so you see a straight arrow. This lane for right, you see a right turning arrow. That's it. Okay, so message should be clear and simple. And in countries like Bahrain and other Arab countries where there are a lot of expatriates, then you see the messages are given in different languages as well. Okay, so you see different signs. Obviously, signs have text. So where you have the text, number can be read by anyone, but where you have the text, then you give the text in two different languages, right? Or the languages which the people can understand. Okay, it should command the respect of the road user. Now, respect is commanded or respect is gained if you are following the other 4 points. I've discussed the 3 points. Okay, so I will give the example from there. For example, you buy something. Okay, you buy an electronic item from the store. That electronic item has something written in Chinese because it's made from China. It's imported from China. Now, since you cannot understand the language, you cannot understand the meaning, so you feel what? This is not important for me. As simple as that. If it was important, it would have been mentioned in the in Arabic or English as well, right? Sometimes you take the warranty card of this thing, and below the warranty card you see something written with very small font, so small you cannot even read it. So you feel, okay, this thing is not important for me. Okay, if it had been important, it would have been written with bigger font. Okay, so if you are not conveying your meaning in a clear and simple manner, if the message is not prominent, it is not fulfilling a need, it will not command the respect. Okay, so the driver should also know why the message is there. This is, if the traffic sign is hidden, if the lane marking is not proper, it is veered off. Lane markings get veered off because the vehicles are moving over it. So if you don't repaint them, they will wear off, they will disappear. So the lane markings have disappeared. The sign is not installed properly. It is hidden somewhere, or the signal is not working properly. Some of the bulbs are not working properly. Lights are not working properly. It will lose the respect of the road user. Okay. And secondly, it should fulfill a need. So if I feel that this particular control device is not required there, then I will not follow it. Okay. For example, reduce the speed sign, and you see a curve as well ahead of you. So you see the need of the reduce speed sign. Okay, so you will respect the sign. Okay, maybe I'm going too fast, I should reduce my speed. But you see a clear road ahead of you, clear and straight road ahead of you with no changes in number of lanes and so on, and you see a reduce speed sign, you will not bother following it. Okay, so this is what we mean by commanding the respect. It is coming from the other points. And the last thing is giving adequate time for proper response. This is related to sight distance, and we have talked about sight distance in this in the last chapter, as well as chapter 15, as well as in chapter 3 as well. Okay, so whenever we were doing the design, we talked about the sight distance. So sight distance must be ensured for the traffic control device, so the driver can act according to the device. For example, you have a signal, and the driver has a visibility of 50 meters towards a signal, but his stopping sight distance is 70 meters. So the signal becomes useless for him. The signal becomes useless for him, because even if he tries to stop when the signal is right, okay, he will stop in the middle of the intersection, maybe beyond the intersection. Okay, so you are not giving him enough time, and then you cannot expect the signal to work properly, right? The signal working of the signal is so the driver can stop before he enters the intersection. Okay, so it will not work properly. Okay, same thing with the lane marking and traffic signs and everything. Okay, you have to give enough time, meaning you have to give him enough distance from where he can see the sign, and then act accordingly to the point where he is required to do this. Okay, now the previous criteria, the previous requirements are met using these factors. So these are the factors which ensure the fulfillment of the previous requirements. Okay, first of all, design of the device includes size, color, and shape. Okay, so size, color, and shape make or conveys the message to the driver, helps to convey the message to the driver. So red signs are more important, circular signs are regulatory signs, okay, and if the sign is bigger, that means it is more important than a smaller sign, and so on. Okay, so these things convey the message to the help you convey the message to the driver. Okay, I made a very stupid mistake. Message. Okay, convey the message. Okay, and it will command the respect and attention of the drivers, because certain colors and shapes and sizes get more attention than the others. Okay, I already told you about the size. Okay, same thing with the size and color and shape as well. Like I said, red is more important. Red gets more attention than other colors. Similarly, circular signs get more attention, or driver feels they would pay more attention to it, and so on. Placement. The sign should be placed within the cone of vision, and it should provide enough response time. Okay, so placement will help you fulfill the criteria of having enough response time. Okay, So you place a device so that it is in the cone of vision, fairly clear field cone of vision of the driver from a distance when he can act safely. Operation device must be operated in a standard manner, consistent, uniform manner. So we have a signal, right? So signal has three indications, right? So indications of the signal are green, red, and yellow. Now the ministry decides, okay, we will have a blue light as well. So you can suddenly come to a signal and there's a blue light. You will get confused, okay? Or the markings on the pavement are usually yellow and white, but then you see a red line on the road as well. What does it mean? We don't know. So devices must be operated, okay, or they must be installed in a uniform and consistent manner. That's why we have the manual. So the manual is controlling the design, right? So you don't invent your own devices. You don't invent your own signs and signals, okay? You follow the standards. Maintenance is required to keep the legibility of the control device. Legibility means their legal status, their legal understanding. Like I gave the example of the lane marking. If you are expecting the driver to follow the lanes, then you have to make sure that the lane marking is maintained, meaning it is repainted whenever it is required. Okay, if you want the driver to follow the signal, that means you have to make sure that all the lights of the signal are working properly. Okay, and same thing with the traffic signs as well. Traffic signs often get damaged because of weather, because of that their paints gets weared off, and sometimes they get hit by the vehicles as well. Okay, so you have to do regular maintenance, otherwise their legal status is null and void. Okay, there's a broken sign on the side of the road. Obviously it is not important for me, right? If you do not do maintenance, then you will lose the respect and attention of the drivers. And uniformity in use of the control device. Control devices are used according to conditions. Okay, I've already stated in the first slide as well. They are used according to conditions. So in a similar condition, you will use similar traffic control devices. For example, if you have a wide road, okay, with more lanes and high speed, then you will use a median there. Okay, it's very common. Okay, you have observed it, right? If the traffic volume is high on a 4-leg intersection, normally you will see a signal there. Okay, and the signal is normally overhead then instead of on a pole. Okay, this is regular. Wherever you have high volume on a wide intersection, you will see overhead signals there. Okay, wherever you have a separate lane for left turning, you may see a separate pole of a signal for left turning lights showing the left turning signal. Okay, similarly, if the intersection is very wide or the speed is high, normally you see the stop line is slightly behind the signal. Okay, if the intersection is short, the speed is low, the stop line is closer to the intersection, and so on. This is normal practice. Okay, you are expecting it everywhere. So whenever you come to a similar conditions on the road, you expect a similar sort of a use of a device, similar sort of use of a device. Okay, so if you know that in this particular situation a traffic island is used, so it will be used throughout the country. Okay, so wherever you have a separate lane for right turning, for example, you see a traffic island there as well. So this is normal practice. You are expecting it on all the highways which have a separate lane for right turning. Okay, this is uniformity. So this uniformity ensures what? It increases the recognition of the traffic control device by the drivers, because they are used to a traffic control device in a similar situation. So their reaction time becomes better. Better means it becomes less. Okay, because I already know on this type of a highway there will be a median. On this type of a intersection there will be a stop line and a crosswalk as well. Okay, so since I'm expecting something, so I will not need more time to react to it. My reaction time will become less, and my action will be improved as well. The action which I'm doing, because I'm doing something which I'm used to. So my action will be improved. The main objectives of control device on the intersection is to reduce the conflict points and to make sure the driver is making one decision at a time. We have talked about conflict points in the previous chapter, as well as making one decision at a time. Okay, so this is why we are providing traffic control devices. We will discuss 6 types of traffic control devices: yield signs, which we also call stop giveaway signs, stop signs, multi-way stop signs, intersection tunnelization, roundabouts, and traffic signals. Okay. How do we decide out of these which control device should be used at intersection? The main function is the type of intersection and volume. The main factor on the basis of the main factors on the basis of which you will decide which device should be used will depend upon the type of intersection and volume. Type of intersection meaning 3-leg, multi-leg, 4-leg, and volume of traffic. Okay, these are the main two things. Okay, and for each of the case, I will tell you what are the conditions. So yield sign means give way sign. Yield sign means give way sign. And give way sign means when you are coming towards an intersection, you will slow down and you will only enter if the intersection is empty for you. Okay. So yield sign is like a minimum standard. Okay. So if you do not fulfill the conditions which will come later on for any other traffic control device, then at least you will provide a yield sign or a give way sign on the intersection. If conditions for any other type of traffic control device on the intersection are not met, then you will not leave it empty. Obviously, you will provide a give way sign there. Okay, so this is the minimum standard. Okay, if you don't need any other device, then at least you have to put a give way sign there. So give way signs are mainly placed on minor approaches so that they can give way to the major road traffic. Okay. On roundabout, this is default for all the approaches. All approaches by default have a give way sign, and drivers know that. You know that, right? You have to give way to the driver who is already in the roundabout. A driver who's already in the roundabout, you have to give way to him. Okay, so this is understood. Okay, you may not see give way signs, but it is understood. Okay, and sometimes you see dotted markings on the stop line. That is also a sort of a give way sign. It may also be used at intersections which have medians which are 9 meters or longer on both highways. So if there are two highways which have medians longer than 9 meters, then you give a give way sign there. Okay. The most important factor is the approach speed of the minor road. If the approach speed of the minor road is slow, then you give a yield sign or a give way sign there. Okay. It is also used for right turning lane which do not have any merging area or acceleration lane. Okay, I talked about merging area, right? So this is a right turning lane. Now you see this lane is ending just when you complete your turn. Okay, so there is no space for you. What I discussed as a merging area is that you have some space like this. So this lane is continuing, so I can go here, and this is space for me. So I don't have to enter the main highway just when I make the turn. Okay, I can keep on moving. Okay, in my own lane. So if this thing is not there, then you provide a give way sign here so that the driver cannot just enter the main highway after the turn. Okay, okay, he has to give way to the driver who's already on the main highway. Okay, so this driver has the right of way. So right turnings may have give way signs or even stop signs as well. Sometimes give way signs are used if you see a specific problem at a particular point, and this is true for all the traffic control devices. Sometimes we collect some evidence, we see there's traffic jam, we see there are accidents, we see there's pedestrian problem, bicycle problem, any problem to any particular type of road user. We investigate and we find out that, okay, if you give a yield sign there or stop sign there, this problem may be solved. Then you provide that sign there. Then you don't have to look for all these rules and regulations, because these are just guidelines. Okay, sometimes you put a traffic control device on the basis of your own evidence, on the basis of your own experience. Okay, your experience and judgment. Okay, and this is allowed because it is required at that site. Okay, so this can also happen. So these are the sizes for single lane. First of all, give way sign is an equilateral triangle. Give way sign is an equilateral triangle, so it has 3 sides with equal length, and the length of these sides is 940 millimeters for single lane. 1219, it should be 19. Let me change it. 12919 millimeters for multi-lane, and for expressways it is 1524 millimeters, and minimum is 762 millimeters. Minimum is 762 millimeters. Okay, now why the size is increasing with respect to the highway because of the speed. Drivers at high speed need to see the sign from more distance because they need more time to stop or they need more time to slow down. Okay, so we make the sign bigger so they can see it from farther distance and they can act again. The same concept that should get their attention and they should have enough time. So drivers at high speed need more time, so make the sign bigger so they can see it from more distance. And we have stop signs. The stop signs means that you come and you stop. You have to come to when you come to the intersection, you see a stop sign, you have to stop, and then you will only move if the intersection is empty. So stopping is mandatory. So you will stop, or many drivers will stop, even if the intersection is empty, because it is required by the sign. Okay, so stop signs may cause inconvenience to the drivers because they are stopping because of no reason. Okay, so we become extra smart and then we don't stop, right? But this is not the way it should be done. Okay, so stop signs should be used if yield sign cannot work. Okay, so they have given the conditions. I will discuss the conditions in a minute. So stop signs should not be used at signalized intersections or on through roads of expressways. So at signalized intersection makes sense, right? We have a signal. Why do you need a stop sign there? The signal will tell you green or red or yellow. What the stop sign will do there? It will create confusion. So no stop sign at the signalized intersections. Through road means straight. Through road means straight movement. So if you have a straight movement on expressways, you don't need a stop sign there. If you have straight movement on expressways, you don't need a stop sign there. It is actually dangerous going straight on expressway. Even if you try to stop because of your own reason, some guy will come and hit you from the back, right? So stop signs should not be used there. Where do you go from yield sign to stop sign? Where do you remove the yield sign with the stop sign? So there are three conditions here. Volume on the highway is more than 6,000 vehicles per day. So street or highway means the same thing here. Okay. Some of you were asking me this question: should we take a street or a highway for our project for our assignment? Street and highway, these are basically synonyms. Okay. So if the volume on the major street is more than 6,000 vehicles per day, you remove the yield sign with the stop sign. You have seen enough, or you have collected some data for the intersection, and you have found that there are number of times when the people from the minor street have caused the drivers on the major street to stop. Okay, so people on the major street are being stopped again and again because of the traffic from the minor street. Okay, so then in that case you give a stop sign to people on the minor street. Okay, because major street is our priority. Okay, so these drivers are getting stopped because of minor streets. That means yield sign is not working. Okay, drivers on the minor streets are disturbing them. Okay, or the third criteria is when you see 3 or more right angle crashes, right angle accidents in 1 year, or 5 or more in 2 years. 3 or more right angle crashes. Right angle means what? Right angle means this. You are going like this and somebody hit you from here. So obviously this is because bad judgment of the driver, right? One of these drivers should not have been here. He should have stopped. So obviously then you put a stop sign for them. Okay. Then these are the sizes, and again single lane, multi-lane, expressways, minimum and oversized. Okay, if you feel there's a highway on which the speed is way high, then you may provide an oversized sign here as well. These are dimensions. Okay, now in Bahrain we use circular signs as well, and we use this type of a sign as well. Okay, so if you are using this type of sign, then this dimension is the maximum vertical distance and the maximum horizontal distance. Okay, these dimensions are basically the maximum vertical and the maximum horizontal distance. Okay, if the sign is in this shape, if the sign is circular, then this will become the diameter. This will become the diameter of the sign. Okay, so it's either the diameter or the maximum and maximum vertical and horizontal dimension. Now the previous stop sign, when we say stop sign, that means a stop sign for the minor road. So people on the minor road will only stop. People on the major road will not have any sign. They will continue. Okay, and the minor road will only move if the intersection is empty for them. Then we have multi-way stop sign. Multi-way stop sign means you have a stop sign for both the roads. Okay, so if it's a 3-directional or 4 approach road, then you have stop sign on all the 4 approaches. Okay, so both approaches for both the roads have a stop sign. This is what we call multi-way stop sign. Okay, this is something again special. Okay, normally you don't see that. So drivers coming from all directions have to stop before they enter the intersection. This is what we mean. It is used as a safety measure when volume from both highways is approximately equal. Okay, obviously one will have more than the other, but it's not, the difference is not so much. Okay, and the volume is low. For all approaches, the volume is low. Okay, because if the volume is higher, for high volume conditions, we go for roundabouts and signals. Okay, so the volume is low, but is approximately equal on all the approaches. So, but you know, this is not high, low, approximately equal. This is not, you know, making sense, right? How do I decide? How do I decide what is low, what is high, and so on? So they have given me conditions here. 3 conditions basically. 3 conditions, and then there are 2 exception rules. 3 conditions and 2 exception rules. Conditions are, if the number of crashes, number of accidents are 5 or more, if the number of crashes are 5 or more, then you put a multi-way stop sign there. Number of crashes in 1 year are 5 or more, and you put a multi-way stop sign there. Okay. The volume. If the volume on both approaches of the major road, So for example, this is my intersection, and this is the major road. Okay, the horizontal one is the major road. East-west is the major road. So both approaches, meaning this one as well as this one, you add the volume for both sides, and it is more than 300 vehicles per hour. The combined volume is more than 300 vehicles per hour. Now, keep in mind, 300 vehicles per hour normally is not considered high. Okay, high in terms of that you go for a roundabout or a traffic signal. Okay, so it is high enough for a multi-way stop sign. So you combine both volumes from both the approaches, and it gets to 300 vehicles per hour, or it is more than 300 vehicles per hour for 8 hours of the day. 8 hours of the day. So the volume is more than 300 vehicles per hour for 8 hours of the day. Okay, and the combined volume of vehicles and pedestrians, more than 200 units per hour. Why units? Because vehicles plus pedestrians. So we cannot call them vehicles. Okay, so the combined volume on the major approaches is more than 300 vehicles per hour for 8 hours of the day, and that for the minor approaches for vehicles and pedestrian is 200 units per hour for the same 8 hours of the day. Then you give a multi-way stop sign. Okay, and the third criteria is that you have a delay for the minor street as 30 seconds per vehicle in the peak hour. If the delay for the vehicles on the minor street is 30 seconds per vehicle for the peak hour, then you give a multi-way stop sign there. So when you reach these 3 conditions, then you have to provide a multi-way stop sign. When you reach, especially the accident. If you reach the first condition, you should provide a multi-way stop sign. Otherwise, you should satisfy the conditions of volumes and delay. Okay, then you can give a multi-way stop. Then there are 2 exceptions to this rule. 2 exceptions to these conditions. One exception is if the major road speed is more than 65 kilometers per hour. If the major road speed is more than 65 kilometers per hour, then the volume condition can be reduced by 70%, reduced by 30%. So if you meet 70% of the volume requirement, you can still provide a multi-way stop sign. Okay. So if the speed is more than 65 kilometers per hour on the major road, then you can provide a multi-way stop sign if you are fulfilling the delay condition and you are also fulfilling 70% of 300 for the major road and 70% of 200 on the minor road. Okay, so you don't have to fulfill 300 and 200, it will become 70% of that. Okay, The other exception is, let's say the speed is not more than 65 kilometers per hour. Then the other condition is that you are meeting 80% of all three criteria. Meeting 80% of all three criteria. Okay. So you met 80% of 5, you met 80% of 300 and 200, and you met 80% of 30 seconds as well. Then you can give a multi-way stop sign as well. Okay. So if you meet the crash condition, you can give a multi-way stop sign. If not, if you are meeting the volume conditions and the delay condition, give a multi-way stop sign. If you are not meeting any of these conditions, but your speed on the major road is more than 65 kilometers per hour, then see, can you meet at least 70% of the volume? If not, then check, are you meeting all three conditions up to 80%? Okay. If your answer to any of these questions is yes, then you provide a multi-way stop sign. Let me show you with an example. Minor road, keep your calculators in your hands. Okay, keep your calculators in your hand. Minor approach, carrying 75 vehicles per hour on each approach. So this is 75 for one approach. For both approaches, it will be twice. Major road carries 145 vehicles on each approach. So again, combined will be twice. Okay, should we give a multi-way stop sign or not? And then there are three more conditions, three more data items given. Pedestrian volume for minor street is 40 pedestrians per hour. This is total. They did not say it's for one approach. This is total, 40 pedestrians per hour. We have 37 seconds per vehicle of delay for the minor street, and there are 4 crashes per year on that side. 4 crashes per year on that side. Okay, so now let us apply the conditions. The first condition was crash. Do we have 5 or more crashes per year? No. The answer is no. We only have 4. So you cannot give a multi-way stop sign on the basis of crashes. Are we fulfilling the volume conditions? Now, what is the volume on the major street? How much volume we have on the major street? Okay, the major street volume is 145 for each approach. So into 2, it will be 290. 290. Okay, the limit is 300. The limit is 300. So major street volume limit is not reached. Now come to the minor street. On minor street, one side has 75 vehicles per hour. So two sides will have 75 into 2, right? Plus, for minor approach, you have to add the number of pedestrians as well. Number of pedestrians are 40. So 75 into 2 is 150 plus 40 means 190. The limit for minor approach pedestrians plus vehicles was 200. So you did not reach that as well. Okay. The third condition was delay. The delay on the minor approach should be 30 seconds per vehicle or more. It is already more. Okay. So out of the 3 conditions, you are only meeting the delay. Okay. And you cannot give multi-way stop sign but just fulfilling the delay condition. Okay. So you have to fulfill delay and volume or the crash. You are not doing that. Okay. Then we can apply that. Can we apply the exception rules? First exception rule: speed of the highway is more than 65 kilometers per hour. Is it? Let me go. The speed is not given. See, speed is not given. So I cannot apply the exception of speed here. I cannot apply the exception of speed here. Other exception rule was if you are fulfilling all 3 conditions up to 80%. Fulfilling all 3 conditions up to 80%. Crashes are 4. We have 4 crashes per year. Our limit was 5. So 4 upon 5 is how much? How much is 4 upon 5? How much is 4 upon 5? Yeah, 4 upon 5. Hurry up. %. Okay, so for crashes, I'm meeting 80% requirement. Okay, let us look for the volume. Major volume 290. My limit is 300. How much am I achieving? So for crashes, I'm achieving 80%. How much am I achieving for the major road volume? 96%, right? I'm achieving major road volume up to 96%. Now, minor road volume 190, and the limit was 200. How much I'm achieving here? How much am I achieving here? %95. Okay, so then the last thing is delay. Delay is already 100% achieved, right? Delayed condition was 30 and my value is already 37. So delay condition fully achieved. Crash condition 80% achieved, and volume conditions achieved more than 90%. So all conditions are achieved, at least 80% of all conditions are achieved, at least 80%. Okay, so with this exception, I can provide a multi-way stop sign here. With this exception that all conditions are achieved at least up to 80%, I can provide a multi-way stop sign here. Okay, so this provide a multi-way stop sign. Okay, but according to this exception, the initial conditions did not require a multi-way stop sign, but since I'm achieving all the conditions up to 80% at least, then you provide a multi-way stop sign. Okay, the next thing is channelization. And we have talked about channelization before. So on which intersections are without channelization, which are lower type and less traffic. Okay, intersections which are simple, low speed, open areas, so you don't need channelization there. You don't need to mark path of the drivers. Okay, it's like you leave your kid in an enclosed playing area. So the area is already enclosed, he's just with his toys. So you leave him. Okay, you can leave him. You don't tell him do this, do that. Okay, he can take care of himself. Same thing with the drivers. You feel the traffic is very low, the intersection is very simple, so you don't need to tell the driver, okay, go from here, take this lane and so on. They can manage themselves. In that case, you can just use the traffic signs, a yield sign or stop, and you can keep the intersection unchannelized. Okay, so there are no paths marked. Okay, but if there's high traffic, okay, so the main criteria is traffic. So if there's high traffic, then you need to regulate the movement in different paths, right? We need to separate the movement of different paths. So you need to tell the driver, go in this lane, change your lane here, this should be your speed, stop here, and so on and so forth. Let me show you two pictures here. You can see on the left hand side, these are actually 3 intersections from Sanabad area, Ascan, I think. So you can see this one, no island, no extra lanes, no marking here, no same thing here. 3 leg intersections. Okay, very low traffic. Okay, but you see an island here. Why? Why is an island here? Okay, because now it is meeting with the main road. This is going towards the Sarmabad Avenue route. Okay, so when you are touching the main road, then you increase the channelization. Okay, you can see here, there's not even an island for dividing the directions as well, right? But here you see this. Okay, now you come on the left hand, the image on the right hand side, you see islands on all sides, traffic islands on all sides for turning right and left. You see yellow box here as well. You see stop lines on all sides. You see crosswalks. Okay, because this is the Rifa side. From the clock tower, you take the left turn. This is that road. Okay, so you see the traffic is very high. So you have to have all these things. So channelization is provided with islands and lines, and these islands and lines should allow natural and convenient flow of traffic. Okay, so divert the drivers slowly and gradually towards their movement, and make sure they are not making wide turns and so on and so forth. Driver who wants to turn right, you give him enough space on the right hand side, provide him maybe an extra lane or something and so on. Okay, so natural means something which makes sense to him. So what will make sense to him? The left hand turn lane should be on the left hand side. The right hand turn lane should be on the right hand side. This is what we mean by natural. Okay, and it will be convenient for him, and wherever you are providing turning or something, providing gradually. Wherever you feel there can be confusion, then you provide traffic islands there. You can see a very good example here. See, this is unusual movement. Okay, someone coming from here, and I don't know why is this, but you can see a traffic. This is surrounded by traffic island. So wherever you feel the driver may get confused and he may go from one path to another path because of confusion, then you provide a traffic island there, because traffic islands are more prominent and the driver gets a message very clearly that I cannot cross to the other side. And then make sure you have enough radius for the curves and widths of the turning lanes for the design vehicle. And we have discussed all these things in the previous chapters. Okay. And we have roundabouts. Roundabouts allow low speed movements around them. On the roundabout, your speed is supposed to be low, and entering vehicles have to yield for the vehicles which are already in the roundabout. Okay, and the deflection, the movement is reflected for all directions, right? Even if you want to go straight, you cannot go straight like this, right? You have to go around the roundabout. Okay, so these are the features of a roundabout. They are used for moderate traffic volume. When they are operating below capacity, that means the volume is under the limit of the roundabout. Whatever is the limit for maximum volume on the roundabout, the volume is up to that, and normally this is the case. Except 1 or 2 hours in the day, normally the volume is below the capacity of the intersection. So during that time, when the volume is less than the capacity of the roundabout, the delay of the roundabout is less than the delay of a signal. Delay roundabouts usually cause less delay as compared to a signal. Okay, but that depends upon how much volume you are getting. So each roundabout has its own capacity, and when the volume goes above that capacity, then roundabout is no longer useful. Okay, so roundabout is considered very efficient in terms of safety. Okay, because you know the movement is deflected, you have give way for all the drivers, you have low speed turnings and so on. Roundabout is considered very effective in terms of safety. Okay. Then the last one is traffic signals. Very effective. The most effective type of traffic control device. Most effective type of traffic control device. Okay, because of the following reasons. First of all, most of the conflict points are eliminated because drivers do not approach the intersection at the same time. Drivers are approaching the intersection at different times, so there's no chance for them to conflict with each other. Okay, but this causes delay. Okay, when you are stopping the drivers to enter the intersection, you are causing delay to them. Okay, they cannot enter from their own judgment. So signals should be used when they are necessary. And what things you look for to make the signals necessary, I will show it to you in the next slide. The most important factor is traffic volume. So like I told you, each of the previous control device has a upper limit. Okay, when you reach the upper limit of the roundabout, I think I mentioned the upper limit for the roundabout in the previous chapter. So like I think 10,000 vehicles per day or something. So when you go beyond that limit, then you have to go for a traffic signal. Okay, roundabout traffic signal can also may also be used if crashes or accidents of any types are increasing. So for example, pedestrian volume is increasing and that is causing too many pedestrian accidents because pedestrians do not have enough time to cross. Okay, because you know people without a signal, people go randomly. People go across randomly towards the intersection. Okay, only the signal can make them stop for a specific length of time. Okay, so normally with high pedestrian volume, then you have to give them enough time to cross, and that can only be done by signals. Or accidents of other types are also increasing, then you also give a traffic signal. Okay, what are the conditions which you look for to provide a traffic signal? You can see the first 4 conditions are related to volume. So look for volume in the 8 hours, peak 8 hours of the day, peak 4 hours of the day, and the peak hour of the day. Peak means the hours in which volume are higher. Okay, so which are the consecutive 8 hours when the volume is higher, which are the consecutive 4 hours when the volume is higher, and which one is the hour with the highest volume. Okay, so you have to collect this data. Okay, this is the data you need in order to provide a signal. Then we have pedestrian volume. Okay, so volume pedestrian is higher and you give a signal. We talked about it. If there is a school crossing, okay, so school crossing means there will be kids crossing and people going with their kids. So to make them safe, you may need a signal. Sometimes you put a signal to make the highway coordinated. Okay, let me give an example for Sheikh Zayed Highway going towards Salmabad. So they are now making this whole corridor as coordinated signals. So they've already started the signal at Ramli Mall, the intersection in front of Ramli Mall. Now you can see that intersection has signal and the next one has a roundabout. Because of that, there is no coordination and there's a long queue every time you come there. There's a long queue which is coming from Salmabad to towards university. Okay. Why? Because people keep on coming from the roundabout and they keep on getting accumulated as a signal. So if that roundabout, obviously they are planning it, they have already started the work. So maybe in future you will see a signal there as well. So this series of signals is being used so that we can have movement from one signal to the other. So inshallah, once the whole series is finished, the whole route is finished, signalized, then you will not see long queues there. Okay. Crash experience, I have talked about it. Okay, sometimes the volume is not so high, but the number of accidents are too high. Then you give a signal. Roadway network. You want to give priority to a road, and you want to avoid the minor road from blocking the movement of the major road. So you have to use a signal there. Okay, so sometimes it is a requirement of the network of the road that so that major road has more time than the minor road. Okay. You look at 16 December highway, the streets are coming from the education area and these streets may block the movement of the major road, so they have a signals there. Okay. Intersections near grade crossing for railroad. So railway tracks, whenever they are crossing the highway, it is known as grade crossing. It doesn't mean the railway road is higher or lower. It may be at the same level, but it is known as grade crossing because the grade of the railway track is different than the grade of the highway. So wherever in the countries in which there are railway tracks and they are crossing the highways, we always use a signal there. We have so many in Karachi like this, and you may have seen it in other countries as well. I don't know. Okay, so sorry for the extra time. I wanted to finish that. Okay, so this is done. We are done. So tomorrow I will solve the examples. Tomorrow I will solve the examples. Okay, the examples from the quizzes and so on. Okay. Ala Ahmad Manahi, Muhammad Al-Ajab, Zahra Ali Ahmad. Ala Ahmad Manahi, Muhammad Al-Ajab, Zahra Ali Ahmad.
Present, doctor.
Muhammad Al-Ajab is present. Okay. Zahra Ali Ahmad, Balqis, Mahdi, Hala Munir. Zahra Ali Ahmad, Balqis, Muhammad Mahdi Abdullah, Hala Munir. Manal and Hala.
Yes. Yes, doctor.
Ali is here, okay, fine. Fatma Muhammad. Fatma Zahra is here, okay.
Doctor, yes.
Okay, that's what Hala is saying. Okay, Fatma is here, okay, fine. Umar Muhammad, Manal is here, okay. Muzun Faisal. Umar Muhammad and Muzun Faisal. Noor Tawfiq is here, okay. Jafar, Muhammad Jafar and Bayan Qadim. Muhammad Jafar, Bayan Qadim. Is here, okay. Okay. Anybody left from this section? Everybody done from this section? Okay. Section
Doctor.
1. Please. Okay. Okay. Anybody left from this section? Done, right? Going for section 1. Section 1. Mahmoud Adil. Okay. Anybody else from section 1? Section 1. Done. Okay. See you guys tomorrow. Okay. So as I said, tomorrow I will be solving some the numericals which I gave you in the quiz, and I will solve it. So attend. Don't worry. That I will give it to you. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.